Hello and welcome to another track guide. This time I'll be going through Barcelona and the historic configuration with the Dallara IR-18 for week 5 of the second season 2023. It's a good thing that it's a historic configuration because I guess nobody likes the final chicane. And it's a really good circuit for hot lapping in my opinion. For racing, well, it can kind of be hit or miss, though we do have push-to-pass in the IndyCar, so that's a bonus for sure. And the change for this week is that alongside the setup, I'll also provide you with a replay for the lap we'll be analyzing here, so you can load it in your simulator and check everything by yourself and not only through the video. Alright, so without further ado, we'll start checking out the full lap, and then we'll go back to the setup and then to the track guide. So let's go. Alright, so in terms of setup, I'm starting out as usual from the iRacing defaults here and doing some changes. There's more changes this time around than the previous ones. I felt like I needed to bring the car a little bit more in line with what I wanted. Also, I'm only providing you with a quality setup this week because, to be honest, the only change I usually make is just putting up the fuel up to 70, maybe fiddling a bit with the ride height, which I'll show you how to do, but otherwise that's it. So in the quality set, obviously we're starting with the softer tire and pressures here. I brought the wing angle, I think all the way up to 13.3 or 13.4, I think it's the baseline, to 14.5. We really need more bite in the front there because there's a lot of sweeping corners in this track. If you feel like the front end is a bit too lively in the faster corners, you can drop this angle here, maybe to a 14.3 or 14.2 even, if you feel like you are losing the rears way too easily. Otherwise, no further changes here in the tire/aero tab. I'm going on to chassis. The usual things I change here are just the ARBs. So default in the setup is 4-2. I think it's 4 here at the front and 2 at the back. I set the front here to 5, as you can see. And the back is still, the rear AIB is still at 2. You can experiment with this. I felt like as the stint goes progressively further, the rear starts sliding a little bit, so you can bump this to 3 perhaps. And you can experiment here with 6 maybe, so you can go 6-3 or 5-2. I personally tried going to 1 here at the rear, but I didn't like it too much, so yeah. Your mileage may vary, that's all I'll say. In terms of fuel level, 13.4 liters is fine for quali, and obviously 70 for race. Dampers, no changes. In drivetrain, I did quite a few changes here at differential. So default, I think clutch plates is 4. I set it to 8. I dropped the preload all the way, and I set the ramp angle. I think default was like 45, 75, something like that. And really, if you have too big of a number here in the power, the car is has a great tendency of losing the rear and like sliding the tires as you power through. And so I thought that something like 30 in terms of power 60-30. You can experiment with maybe 45 or 75. Some of those configurations would be good. But otherwise, I think that 30 here is like the least reactive. And another tip here, I'm using quality the engine map 1. If you have a potentiometer pedal, for example G29 or something, you can experiment here with setting this to 6. This is the same final power output as engine map 1, but you have somewhat of a more progressive acceleration curve, and so you can be a bit more, it's a bit more lenient in terms of throttle control. The car is a bit less responsive, but otherwise this is a good safety change if you would like to experiment with that. Otherwise, I think the set is good. As you saw the lap time previously, I think it's really good as well. From what I saw with other people doing, I think it will be really competitive. And yeah, like in terms of setup, I'm really happy with this one. Alright, so starting the lap guide, we're here at the main straight. We'll go to top of 6th gear. As we approach here, where's my mouse? Okay, here it is. So as we approach here, you want to put the halo here, and on top of the curb. The curb is really flat, so it's really easy to brake on top of it. And you really want to open up the corner coming up as best as you can. So here I'm looking for in quality setting, 100 board is the. Hang on, I kind of, sorry. Okay, so I'm looking for the 100 board here in a quality situation. If it's not quality, obviously, then I think I'll back this up to perhaps this light over here, like here, somewhere in between. All right, so maybe 1 or 2 car lengths before, if you have a full fuel load, 70 liters, or your tires are degraded. We're coming up from 6th to 2nd and then turning in. And here you want your inside right tire to go as close as possible to this yellow curb here, with this yellow sausage curb here, but not actually hitting it because this really upsets the car. But that was a bit wide, as you can see. Wait a second. Yeah, that was a bit wide. I wanted maybe, let's see here from far cheese. Yeah, I go a bit more to the right here. Lost a little bit of time there. Nothing too bad. Okay, the next up, you want to open up not too much, and you can go over this curb a little bit if you want. You don't need to be honest. And we're here in 2nd gear. You want to control your throttle as best as you can, and then we're going to open up. There's no need to go all the way to the outside of the track here. You can open up just a little bit, and then with the 3rd gear, you're going to control your throttle and try to hug the inside up until you see an exit, and then you go all the way and to 4th. So you see I'm controlling there. Basically, when I see this orange patch here show up, like so you see it's covered right now. Once I see it, and I know I'm close to the corner ending, and then we can go all the way into the throttle. So let's see this section again from chase cam. Be wide there. Right, nice. So we're coming up to Repsol, obviously due to the sign there, but the actual corner name is Repsol as far as I'm concerned, at least according to the track guide or track map. Okay, so here you want to brake, let me put in cheese here. You want to brake 2 car lengths before the bridge itself, so about midway here before when the yellow and black curb starts and the bridge, so about where my mouse is here. You're coming from 5th to 2nd gear. Now you want to be really patient with your throttle here. Don't go too fast. When you see the Repsol signs here, you can start going into the power, but a bit easy. Wait until you can actually see that you will make it out of the corner and then go all the way. You may think that I lost some time here by not tracking out all the way, but actually I tested it, and like tracking out all the way or just to the middle here is mostly equivalent in terms of time. And in fact, being towards the middle here is good because you can set up the next corner a bit easier. Talking about the next corner, I think it's one of the hardest corners in the track here. So in terms of like braking point, it's not too easy. There's this access road here. You can use it as a reference, but to be honest with you, I feel like the color change is so subtle and you're going so fast that most times I don't even see this thing. So what I use is an audio cue with the gears. So you see I'm in third gear and I'll never actually shift to fourth. I'll wait until I hit the limiter, and then I know that that's the time to brake. We'll go from third to first gear. So then I'm braking. And now you can use this end of the curve here as like your final warning. This is about the last possible moment you can turn in. You can turn in a bit earlier as I'm turning in now, and that'll be good. And this corner here demands extreme patience. So I'm trail the brakes, as you can see, and waiting really long up until I see this grandstand here. Well, at least the halo touches the grandstand. Let's call it that. And then this is the time you can get on power really patiently as well, because you can very easily overshoot this corner here, and you go all the way to the gravel there and lose a ton of time. So try avoiding that. Yeah, so let's see this section in chase cam now. Oops. All right. So the wait a second. All right, that was a good section for sure. And yeah, like patience in these two corners is absolutely key, because if you are too eager on throttle, you're gonna overshoot them both and actually lose time. All right, so coming up to turn 7, I believe. This is a very crucial corner and one of the hardest to get right, in my opinion, because the turning point is so critical. So we're gonna come up to 4th gear as we approach, and now you want to start braking about 1 car length or 2 car lengths before the curb here. So if you actually hit the curb before you start braking, it's probably too late. And then I can brake, as you can see, and then we're coming up to 2nd gear, and now actually nailing the turn in here is absolutely crucial. So in terms of turning points, you can see once the curb starts in a fast flowing motion, you want to put your right side tire on top of the curb, and as it hits the curb, you want to start turning in. Going over this inside curb here on the left upsets the car massively, so I wouldn't recommend. You can get away with it, but it's a bit of a gamble. And then there's a nice camber here, so if you, for some reason, lose the turning point and you try and do the corner from the outside, it's going to be really hard, I can tell you that much. And then once you see that you'll be able to start accelerating and not actually hit this inside, this sausage curb here, then it's time to go. Yeah, this is one of those high curbs that really upset the car, so you absolutely do not want to hit this one. It will very probably make you spin out. Cutting it very close there, as you can see. Now we're coming up to 4th gear, and as we reach the end of the curb being here, right, and this white part, I'm going to turn in, downshift from 4th to 3rd, no braking actually, just letting the engine brake do its thing. And then once you get up to the yellow sausage curb here, then you can start accelerating. So there we go. Now we start accelerating. You see I'm very progressive because it's really, really easy to get an off track here. If the middle of the car goes over the AstroTurf here, well, the green part, right? It's not an AstroTurf, I think. But if the middle of the car goes past the curb, then that's an off track. It's really easy to invalidate your quali lap or get several off tracks during your race. So you really want to be careful with that. All right, so let's see this section in chase cam now. All right, so coming up to the part that everybody can rejoice that we're not running the configuration with the chicane, because this corner is also terrible in that configuration, in my opinion. So as we approach this corner, you want to start braking in between the 50 and 100 board. So this lamppost here is a very nice reference, about 75. I use that as reference. If you have heavier fuel load or tires a bit degraded, then you can bring it like to the middle of 100 board and the lights. That would be good. We're coming up from 5th to 1st gear. And now this corner here, you really want to hug the inside as much as you can, all right? You really lose a lot of time if you go through the outside. And once again, it's one of those corners where you have to be patient with your throttle, because you can easily overshoot if you accelerate too quickly. Okay, now this next corner, also another one that requires patience. Seems to be a theme with the track, as you can see. You see this white line here, all right? So this is my braking point pretty much. So we're coming up from 1st to 3rd in the section, and then as I go through the white line, I'll downshift from 3rd and then back to 1st and hug the inside and accelerate once we get to the yellow curb, yellow sausage that you see in a bit. So as you can see, through the white line, 2nd, then 1st. This is a bit wide, all right? I would like to be a bit closer here, but this is fine. In terms of like opening up the corner, you can experiment with going all the way to the Astro here, to the AstroTurf, and then turning in. I didn't find that to be all that much better, which is why I'm not tracking out this much in this lap. But I mean, you can experiment with that and see if you find it actually improves your performance. Okay, so this corner here demands an extreme amount of patience, but the critical part is the yellow sausage here. So you have to wait for this guy here. If you try accelerating earlier, you're just gonna overshoot. Don't do that. Once you see the yellow sausage, then you're kind of out of the woods. You can start accelerating, as you can see here, but once again, patiently, and only go all the way once you are 100% sure that you are not gonna go into the gravel trap. And in terms of off track here, as you can imagine, really easy to, if your wheels touch the gravel, it's over, you get an off track. So let's see the section and chase cam now. I'm lost. Okay. It went a bit too far. Right. Alright, so final section here. This first corner is pretty easy. You can pretty much flat out this corner. If the tires are a bit worn out, then maybe not. To be honest with you, I've spun out quite a few times here, so I don't actually go flat out here. I ease the throttle a little bit, like 80% or so. Lose a little bit of time, but I guess it's safer, and yeah. So as you can see, I'm easing out the throttle here, right? About 80%, as I said. In terms of where you want to hit, you want the middle of the car, the halo, to be, well, this bar here, right? It's not a halo, it's a windscreen, windshield, I don't know. You want this to be on top of the curb. So pretty much like, it can even be a little bit to the right, okay? So basically I could be like a wheel to the right or so. But this part here, the red stuff here, it kind of upsets the car, so you don't want to be too far to the right, and also don't go over the Astro here. You're gonna get corner cut, and you're gonna waste time in the following up street, in the following street. Okay. I think that I don't mind too much easing a bit on the throttle as well, is because you can, if the tires are worn out, overshoot to the gravel here, and that would be really bad, so don't do that. And then coming up to the final corner here, this yellow curb is a really nice reference. So in quali pace, or if the car is really light and you have new tires, you can turn in at the end of the curb here. Otherwise, if the car is a bit heavier, then the middle of the curb here, where my mouse is. And then I'm in 4th gear. I'm gonna still be in 4th gear during the corner. You can use the brake a little bit, like 3-5% or so, to stabilize the front and like give it a little more grip so you can turn in. And once you're sure that you will not overshoot the outside there, then you can go on power. And yeah, it's really critical that you're not too eager here, once again, because if you are, then you're going to overshoot, and this, you'll probably not crash, but you'll lose a massive amount of time. So yeah, just... And once again, in terms of talking about off tracks, if your outside, your left wheels touch the gravel, then it's over, that's an off track, and yeah, careful with that. And so that's the lap. Let's see this final section in chase cam. And right, so final notes in terms of strategy. So I haven't had the opportunity to do many long runs. I did try running fuel map 5 and see how far can I take a full gas tank. And the lap is the race is 42 laps. And if you go full throttle on fuel map 1, you get kind of like 18, 17 laps out of the tank. And so I thought to myself, right, if I fuel save, I can maybe stretch that 3 extra laps. And I did manage to do it. So it's technically possible to go through the race in a single stop. However, you do have to lift and coast quite a lot, and it does impact the lap times. So in the end, I'm not entirely sure if it's worth it, to be honest with you. I may do some experimentation during the week, maybe one race or two, and see if that pans out. But all in all, I think that it's much safer to just do the two-stopper. In terms of stability of the tires, as per usual, the hard tire is a bit slower, but it's a lot more stable in terms of lap times. So generally, I'm thinking maybe 2 stints with the hards, and then one final stint with the softs by the end when the car is going to be very light. Otherwise, you can start with the softs and really try to push it, make some overtakes, or make a gap in the beginning of the race, and then hang back and use the hard tires for the 2 final stints. And yeah, one final note, I did a an 18 lap stint with the soft tire, and at the end my rear left tire was at like 40% or something, so it's not catastrophic. You can still use the tire, but it does lose some longevity pretty fast over a long stint. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Once again, I want to thank you for watching. Hopefully it was fun, it was nice for you, and I'll see you next week for our track guide for Sebring. See you there, bye bye.